Alright, so what I've decided to do here, since I've got the little Ranchero running, I've decided I'm going to go ahead and put power brakes on it. Now, I don't know how much of this kit's going to work without modifications, but we're going to make it work. So I'll have 2 bolts holding it there. Well, 1 bolt on this side, 1 bolt on this side. And then we've got the 2 brake lines here. And then let me show you this other piece you gotta watch for too. Alright, so this one up in here, what I've got to do is pull that anchor point off of that attaching rod. You can see the boot. It goes up in there. That's for your main unit there. So I got to pull that unit off first before I can really do anything up under the hood. Alright, so there's your pin, or whatever you may call that. Ironically enough, this is the same boot right here that 61 Falcon takes. Can you believe that? They use those for so many years. But anyway, that's kind of what that is. So let's see how close we are on the rest of this stuff. Where's that pin that I had to pull out? Wasn't too bad. Okay, so here's the replacement pin. And all this stuff kind of bolts together. It's kind of upside down. This right here bolts in here. I've got to double check the this little pin adjustment right here, make sure this thing is not sticking too far in or out. Actually, these things normally, they take the same master cylinder, I think, so they have this plug going in it right there. So if that's the case, then what happens is you've got to check the gap and see there's a gap right there. So if I tighten that down, then it's going to push the piston inside the master cylinder, causing the brakes to not work correctly. So you got to make sure that adjustment's right on the money. Alright, so that's a lock nut. So what I had to do is screw this bolt almost all the way in, and it finally cleared so it doesn't put undue stress on that master cylinder. She's off a little bit down there. Get all those kind of started. We're going to have fun getting a wrench down inside there. You gotta get way up underneath there to get that other bolt. Go in on the top, down inside there. See, on them bottom bolts, you gotta get your fingers whip underneath there. Like that. Alright, so once you get that, see, it's still a little bit loose, but I've got a good test of wrenches. Yeah, how you gonna get them tight down in there? Alright, so that's the wrench you're gonna need to get back in there on those bolts. Now, these right here are metric. I don't know why, but these are metric right here. I got standard bolts for the back and they won't fit. They look like the same, but these are metric. So they must be a 10 millimeter or something, or 8 by something. Anyway, another thing you've got to do on this one here is between the rear and the front. This power steering's kind of in the way too, but you got to get all this stuff kind of pulled up and straightened up, and then you got to get it right up in there. And that one will go ahead and go, but this one here unfortunately will not. This one is too small. So I've got to cut this tip off of this thing and put another deal on it. Now there are adapters that you can screw this on into here. It's not a reducer, but it's something similar to a reducer. But I don't like them because they can crack and they can also leak really bad. So I'd much rather cut this tip off, put the right nut on there, and then reflare it and just be done with it. That's the best way to do it. And then you got to inspect these for see if they've got rust in there, because they can actually split right here. If they get rust right there, they'll split. So you got to be careful with that. Alright, so let me show you what I've got here. The light may be in your eyes, but so this is the unit here, and this is going to be about the same size. Now you can get these things in different sizes for different applications, and you just got to find the one that's right. I mean, obviously it's going to be big, but it fits the same place. And then like this one, it's a bigger one here, and it fits even smaller. So it's nice to keep those in stock. So that's the one we need. And that one just threads right in there, and it's good. So then I need to cut this end off and put this end on there, and then get this reflared, and I think we'll be good to go. But I've also got to fix the unit inside there. So up inside here, get my finger up there where you can see it. See where my finger is? Way up in there. Well, that's where that lock nut is, so you got to get that turned in a bit. And then this piece here for the pin. Let me zoom you out so I'm getting you sick. See where that pin goes on that. You've got to get that on there. So you got to turn this piece in a little bit. Because I've got long legs, so I like my brake pedal closer to the floor for power brakes. So you can see it's kind of lined up right there, and then the brake pedal is going to be, oh, it's probably close to that. I don't know if I can set you up to where you can kind of sort of see, but kind of like right. Yeah, right in there. I can feel it just starting to go in. So that should be enough brake pedal movement for us. So I think that's going to be just right. Yep, right there. But it's fiddly to get up in there and do that, though. I mean, you got two fingers, you got a steering column in the way, and all this other stuff. So I cut that brake line off with this little Dremel tool. It's a little cordless. And to get the metal shavings out of there, you need to spray it backwards like that, and it'll siphon that out. Now it should be able to get one of these nuts in there that goes in. Oh, I've already got it in there. Make sure that that's the right one. Yeah. So then I'll do a quick flare on that with my flare tool. See, that's got to be up above that just enough. You want a double flare. So you've got to have it just like that where you stick the tool in there. Now, this is the old school way of doing it. And all you're doing is setting the flare. You're not making the flare. It's a two-step process. So I'm going to tighten this down. I need both hands. I'm going to tighten this forcing screw against that thing, and it's going to bottom out pretty close to that, and it's going to bubble it out a little bit. Then you force it in with this cone. See how it's kind of a bubble flare now? Actually, I've used these as bubble flares before. Now you got to force this down inside there. To hold the camera and hold this thing at the same time, I'd show you, but I need both hands. I'll crimp that down in there, and it should make a decent double flare. Alright, so there's your deal there. So it's a double flare, not a single flare. Double is what you need for brakes. And I'll just carefully bend that back around so it goes in that hole there. Well, there you have it. I've got this is the PCV line here, and I've actually got, there's another vacuum line back there somewhere that's plugged with a cap. So I took the one off the PCV just to see if it'd work, and it's got power brakes. So I think we're in good shape. I need the clamp, some other stuff. These are good to go here. Filled this up. I went ahead and bled it by hand. Just got to put the loops in right here, and then just step on the brake pedal. It's no big deal. But I got one more thing, and I'm probably going to do it off camera, and that's going to be that stinking brake switch. It's hard to get in there and get your fingers wrapped around that and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm going to give you a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more riff-raff coming up at some point. Thank you.